Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Client Side Chats. I am so pleased to welcome my friend and colleague, Perry Hawkins, who is Director of EHS and Sustainability at his company. In fact, Perry, welcome in and kind of give everybody a little bit of what you do and what your company does.
Well, hello, everyone. So glad to be here. Very excited. We always have fun when we get together, James. So this
That's
this will
so
be very
true.
interesting. So yeah, I am the director of EHS Sustainability. That's a mouthful, right? EHS and Sustainability for a small company that actually is in the manufacturing sector. We are a global company. Have 8 manufacturing facilities around the world. So it's a small venue, but I just started there 6 months ago. Wait, hold on a second. It feels like 6 months. It's been right at 5 months now
Uh-huh.
with the company. So very excited to be with them, and it's me doing more to get things that I do. So I'm looking forward to putting the Perry flavor on this new adventure.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I know you, and I know you're very collegial as well as very cordial as well. So I know in our discussions you've had a lot of successes here. Hey, if you don't mind, why don't you dive into one of the success stories that you've had? What was it? What is it? What made it a success? What was the outcome? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so I always like to talk about my experience in behavioral-based safety because I think that if I were to dig into that one thing where I've seen a transformation within any organization that I've been in the last 20 years, it's
Uh-huh.
focusing on behavioral-based safety, but not in the traditional way that we think about it. And
Uh-huh.
I think my success story largely comes from looking at hazard recognition and elimination. Many years ago, I worked for this small company called Air Products and Chemicals and worked in developing this technique that they had actually honed. I'm not even sure where they like got it from. Maybe it was their own creation. Maybe it was something they took from somewhere else. But
Uh-huh.
the good part about it, it was a technique that worked. Over the years, I worked for a number of big companies and have brought that same philosophy, that same technique of hazard recognition and elimination to every company that I've been a part of. And what's so great about it is it largely engages the employee. And what's made it so successful is that it's the recognition that at the end of the day, it's the employee who's on the shop floor, who's turning the wrench, who's doing the work. He's the one that's exposed to the hazards. He or she knows what hurts, what causes pain or discomfort. And as a manager, oftentimes, we talk about safety, we tell employees to be safe, we give them training, we do all these things. But reality is, it's an experience. It's a physical, a mental, and emotional experience that the employee goes through. So, who's best to tell you what's wrong with the process, how it can be improved, and what we can do to identify the specific hazards and risks that are there and how to improve it? So, applying this technique over the years, I
Mhm.
found that I've taken organizations that have had 15 recordable injuries down to one, or in some cases, down to zero.
Mhm.
And it's behavioral because what you're asking the employee to do is to speak up and speak out. Tell us what's wrong. You tell us based upon all the training that we've given you, your knowledge, your skills, your expertise. What can we do to make your job easier, to make it better and more efficient, and ultimately make it safe? Right, get you home
Right.
at the end of the day in the same condition that you arrived. So it really, the success of the program has largely been engaging and empowering the employees to be advocates for safety, and as managers listening to what the employees have to say, right? So even in my last job, we had an 85% reduction in injuries in a 3 year period,
Wow.
largely based upon the principle of getting the employees engaged. And the one thing that's critical about it is if you see something that's unsafe, we're empowering you to fix it. In other words, we're giving you all the tools, the resources, we're giving you training to help you identify and understand what the problems are. And we're relying on your knowledge and experience to help us identify where we may have some opportunities for improvement. But because we've given you all the tools and necessary tools to be successful, don't just walk by and say somebody else's problem. We want you engaged. We want you to fix it. And then when it's above and beyond your capabilities or experience or knowledge to fix it, then you need to pull in your manager, supervisor, pull in EH&S. put in a maintenance request, right? Put the maintenance ticket in to
Right.
fix it. But by engaging the employee to be a part of that process and be a part of that journey, I've been very fortunate throughout my career to see injuries just just drop within the company. And it's not because management is telling them, hey, you got to go do something.
Hmm.
It's because the employee has I mean, they're part of it. They have a stake in what's going on. And then you have the peer-to-peer interaction. So it's not like a manager coming in and saying, hey, you're not wearing your safety glasses, put them on. It's that coworker, the peer, that's saying, hey, we need to be safe. You put on your safety glasses. Oftentimes in those scenarios, employees are more willing to embrace and accept it coming from a peer than they are accepting coming from a manager or supervisor.
Interesting. Now, I mean, this is great because I know over the years you and I have had a lot of discussions when we meet up at ASSP events and things like that. And even times like this where we've talked about the differences and a lot of times people will approach using a managerial style and everything. You're not cutting out a managerial style. Instead, you're engaging with the people who are doing the work and using it as a different way of them managing the safety process, correct?
Exactly. You, oftentimes I think that I'm the champion for the underdog, right?
Right.
But I don't like to think of the employee as the underdog. But sometimes the employees feel like their voice is not being heard. That management is only concerned about the bottom line, and they're concerned about getting the product out the door, and not caring about the employee. I look at these programs and I combine them with things like stop work authority and tell employees, you know what, we empower you that you think that this is so unsafe that you or someone else can get hurt. We want you to stop the work. We want you to engage the leadership team, bring them in and say, hey, we got a problem. We need you to fix it. There's
Ah,
no punitive action for doing that. But on top of that, well, I won't say there's no punitive action. The only punitive action is if the manager fails to listen to what you're saying. So
ah.
it's not punitive to the employee, punitive to the manager or supervisor because their job is to be there to help the employee be successful so that the organization is successful. I often say to my colleagues, um, you can't build a product without the employee.
Right.
If the employee's out sick that day, guess what? You're not building, you may be building it, but you're building at a slower rate, or you're paying the cost to bring in a temporary employee. You got to pay for their training, you got to pay for all of the other skills that they need to be able to do it. But the reality of the situation is we have someone who's very skilled at their job and what they do.
Uh-huh.
And if they're not at work because they've been injured on the job, then that's not good for the company. So it's important that managers and supervisors hear what those employees have to say. So in some ways, they're the underdog, but they're the underpinning of the entire organization. Without them, we can't be successful. And more organizations need to be set up to recognize that we need to hear their voice. Now, I'll say this much in my 20 plus year career, I've had employees come up with some really strange ideas.
Well, that happens.
Yeah, they come up with some strange improvements and they sound really great and really neat. And they're millions of dollars of investment. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great if we have $1 million. Let's
Right.
talk about the $100 or the $1,000 solution and work from there.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind that that $1 million solution oftentimes means that I don't need 30 people to operate the process anymore. I may be able to do it with three. While it's great to work yourself out of a job, because that was the one first thing I had the manager tell me is your job is to work yourself out of your job.
Oh my.
That's that's not the objective that we
No.
have with safety. We want you to be efficient. We want you to be safe. We want you to be productive. We want you to make more money for the company because we make the best product, the safest product, the most, how should I say, quality, efficient.
Yeah.
The lingo I'm trying to use here. But as a customer, right? Even as a customer, I want to know that the product and services that I'm receiving are the best and they didn't come at the cost of someone losing a finger, an eye, an arm, or whatever. As a leader within the organization, I have that same mantra. I want to make sure that the products and services that we deliver to our customers are not done with blood money. for,
Right.
lack,
Right.
for lack of a better word, we're
No.
not
And
running a sweatshop and we're
it,
not running a hospital Some days I feel like we're running a mental ward or pre-K, but that's a different story, a different level
That's
of
for another
conversation.
chat. but but hey, I like this. And to kind of wrap it up just really quickly on it, I mean, really what you're talking about here is the employees are identifying where the inefficiencies are that lead to their injuries. But also you're talking servant leadership with regard to the supervisors and managers in really serving the people who are on the quote unquote front lines, if you will.
You hit
So
the nail on the head. That's what it's all about.
that's so cool. All right, Perry, great having you on. I got to tell you, always enjoy our chats. Look forward to having you on here again, too, as long as you're up for it.
I'm excited, and next time I'm out your way, drinks are on me.
You got it. Sounds good. All right, sir. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.